Creatively and appropriately named and charitably award-winning Query and Schultz program presented by Bailey and Wood. And Derek, it is episode number 71. You had said Walter Jones. I am thoroughly disappointed in your lack of understanding of not only Indiana lore when it comes to football families, but also I would have thought that you would have related to Webster a little bit.
Like the dictionary?
What is the squeaking? Do you hear that squeaking?
Oh, there's a thing on the side there. Don't hit that with your knee. I don't know. The microphone's picking that up or not?
Yeah, I don't know. It was very annoying. The show Webster, the TV show Webster. Did you ever watch that?
I don't know what that is.
The TV show Webster. You're not familiar with that. Emmanuel Lewis.
Emmanuel Lewis, the little person.
Well, I don't know if he's
right?
officially a little person. He happened to be smaller in stature.
Well, that's kind of the blanket term, whether it's dwarfism or whatever else, right? Isn't it?
I don't know.
Saying that correctly?
What do people say about you?
Come on, man. Like, let's try to be sensitive and all of that.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I think that's the blanket term for people that have that.
Well, I don't think that Emmanuel Lewis had, like, dwarfism. And I don't believe he just happened to be.
He was just small?
He was just smaller in stature. He was just shorter fella.
Okay.
I think is he still with us, Emmanuel Lewis? He did, like, the big one of those reality shows.
Oh, I don't know.
At any rate, he was on a show called Webster, and Alex Karras, who was number 71 during his playing career, was the dad on that show. And Alex Karras, part of a great Indiana football family. And this is episode 71, right?
That's right. Was Alex 71?
I think so.
Okay.
Can you look that up?
Was Ted Jr. 71?
Huh?
Was Ted is he still with the Patriots? Who's he with now?
That's a good question, what number he was.
He's still active, I think.
I'll look up if Alex was indeed number 71.
What about Ted Sr.?
We would have to start this whole show over again, which would be awkward.
I know. We have the squeaky thing, and then you're mentioning some TV show that nobody's ever heard of. And
nobody's ever heard of Webster? Well, you're the one over here making fun of little people.
A little bit of a weird way to start the show.
Yeah, 71, Alex Karras.
Well, I know Alex was. I'm asking you about the rest of the Karras family.
Okay, well, let me look.
Let's get into the meat of the matter because we've gotten complaints on the show before. Like, you guys, most viewers can only make it like 90 seconds before you need to say something that's intriguing. And so often we spend the first
75
10 minutes
for Ted Karras Jr.
doing really dumb stuff like this.
Super Bowl set, Derek. It is the Cincinnati Bengals. Are the Bengals who dat or who day?
Who day? Who dat is the Saints.
Correct. Okay. Who day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who day think going to beat them Bengals? Is
That's
that
right.
And then Cincinnati Bengals.
Yep, in the song, yes.
Okay. They've got several good things about the Bengals.
The Rams are also participants in the Super Bowl.
They are, by way of their victory over the San Francisco 49ers, where Jimmy Garoppolo went Carson Wentz late in the game. I thought Garoppolo in San Francisco actually played pretty well. And then, the Rams end up. But this is a fun Super Bowl matchup. Second year in a row where somebody's going to play in their home stadium. Doesn't mean a whole lot in terms of home field because tickets are allotted pretty evenly and it's a corporate event and whatever else. But, Derek, the Bengals are going to win the whole thing.
Yeah, I think they might too. They're not particularly a great matchup. The Rams aren't particularly a great matchup for the Bengals, but it just feels like things are really clicking for them. And I think what I like about this Super Bowl matchup, Jake, is that I'd be lying to you if I said that I'm super excited to watch Cincinnati and LA. Those are two franchises that don't have a lot of relevance to me in my life. But I'm excited and intrigued about it because this is a representation, I think, of what was a wide open year, where you just kind of pull the lever on the randomizer and it spits out
it's a lever, right?
And it spits out Bengals and Rams.
It's a lever. Lever 2000 is the soap, but something you pull on is a lever.
It's a lever.
I don't think it's right.
I don't think people say lever. I don't think that's right.
Who says lever?
Lever is what it's called.
Like lever at the altar.
No, you're thinking leave and then her. Those are two separate words.
But and the soap is lever 2000, but lever is what you pull is a lever.
It's a lever.
No.
I don't think people really – do people out here call it lever? It's lever.
Where in the hell are you from where people call it lever? Pull a lever?
Yes.
Okay.
That is the far more common term.
Daydream believer. Monkeys. Daydream believer and the homecoming. Was
lever. That from Webster too? Can we get back to the game? Let's get
soap
back to the
is
game.
lever 2000. You pull a lever.
I think that this was the type of season where you were going to have a wide open and random Super Bowl, and that's exactly what we have.
Well, look, here's what's fascinating to me about this Super Bowl matchup and how it relates to the Colts in particular, okay? You have two teams that are built two different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Team one and the Rams, Derek, this is the model of being aggressive and pushing all in. You want to talk about, like Jim Irsay wants to talk about, all chips in, okay? The Rams are all chips in. The Rams don't do BS talk. They don't talk about it, and Chris Ballard holding a press conference and answering questions for an hour and a half, and everybody talks about how great he is. Rams just go out and do it.
Mm-hmm.
The Rams had a number 1 overall draft pick at quarterback, didn't think like he was good enough, so they trade and they move up for Matthew Stafford. They didn't sit around and talk about it. They just did it, right? Odell Beckham's out there. The Rams need a receiver for Matthew Stafford. They just go out and get him.
Von Miller. They traded two draft picks for.
You know what? We need a guy right now to wreak havoc. Let's just go get Von Miller. The Rams realized the blueprint to win in the NFL in 2022 is to be able to throw the ball deep and to be able to wreak havoc on the other team that's trying to throw deep against you. That's it. And they pushed all. Rams had Todd Gurley as a running back like 5 years ago, one of the best running backs. Did they worry about that? Who's their running back right now? Who's the Rams running back?
Yeah.
Wendell Tyler?
Yeah.
Who knows, right? There has not been yet in this playoff anybody to run for at least 90 yards. 88 yards, Joe Mixon for Cincinnati, the highest rushing total in the playoffs.
Which is incredible.
Right?
Do you know, by the way, I was looking this up, the last time that the Rams had a first-round pick?
Aaron Donald?
Well, it was after that. Goff, number 1 overall, was the last time. They have literally traded their last 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. They'll have traded 7 straight of their first-round picks.
Well, and look where they are.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
Now,
to your point.
The Bengals, on the other hand, did it the other way. You go out, you get a pick in Joe Burrow, and then you say, we got to get him weapons. Joe Burrow, who right here looks like Tom Brady in a hip-hop video. But Joe Burrow is an elite-level quarterback. There's no doubt about it. But what do? They go out and they get Jamar Chase. They draft him high.
Yep.
They had T. Higgins that they drafted. T. Higgins made an unbelievable catch for the Bengals that kind of helped cement for them and keep a drive alive. You know, he's a number 2. He's a guy that could be a number 1. T. Higgins is a better player than Michael Pittman, and he's a number 2 guy in Cincinnati by a long shot.
Mm-hmm.
The Colts, to me, Derek, when I look at this Super Bowl matchup and I look at the playoffs, what I see is I know that people want to talk about how in mid-November the Colts were the team that nobody wanted to face. And Jonathan Taylor was an MVP candidate, and he's rushing for 140 yards a game. And you know what? The Colts would be damn good in 1985. But they've been asleep at the wheel. The rest of the league turned into basically Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oregon, college football level, dynamic basketball on grass level football. And the Colts are sitting around touting the fact that they got a left guard that's really good.
Yeah, what really struck me is that we all know that you need the quarterback. It doesn't matter what system you play. You got to have a quarterback that can do things when he's asked to do them. And Wentz fell woefully short in that category for the most part this year. But what really struck me about the results of these playoffs, and Jake, I don't want to read too much into it. It's a single elimination playoff.
Right.
Like I said, you pull the lever, and this is kind of what spits out here. What struck me about all of these teams is that all of them, every single one of these teams that went deep had elite wide receiver play or pass catchers. Every single one of them.
Yes.
All of these teams. Chase, Samuel, Kupp, all of these guys are great playmaking level wide receivers, and the Colts just don't have enough of that. Pittman, I think, can be a nice playmaker. Pittman, I think, can be a nice number 2.
He's a good player. There's no doubt.
I think he could be a number 2 to a really good number 1. I'm not shut off to the idea that Pittman could be a number 1. I think he lacks the dynamicism. He's not dynamic enough. I'm not certain he's dynamic enough to be a wide receiver 1.
Do you hear this?
What are you doing?
Lever.
That's the correct pronunciation.
Come on, man. Like, we're trying to.
I'm just telling you.
Let's do a show. Like, this is a good topic. I think people are
Lever
interested.
versus lever?
No, not that.
Okay.
I think people are interested in hearing about how far away the Colts are and what they need to do
Derek,
to get here.
It does feel like, and I'm not trying to bag on Chris Ballard and Jim Irsay and Frank. I'm not. I mean, I know that there are a lot of good things about him. But to me, it does feel like the Colts are building themselves to be the best chess or the best checkers players in the NFL, and the rest of the league is playing chess.
Yeah, philosophically, it's not been, and it's not for necessarily for lack of trying. Wide receiver, it's been lack of trying. They have not. We've talked about that.
Staggering.
Yeah, Ballard has not. That's been a blind spot for him. He's not invested enough. Pass rush, they've tried. They've tried and failed.
They have,
but they've tried. They've Banigou and. Lewis, and they've had a bunch of guys that they've Kamoko Toure.
You know what the Rams
used high
you know what the
picks
Rams
on.
did? Von Miller was out there, and they're like, you know what? Let's go get Von Miller.
Yeah, and the problem for the Colts is that penny pinching on Danico Autry. Just give Danico Autry what he wants.
Right.
Danico Autry would have come back if you would have given him a better deal than what Tennessee gave him. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me why the Colts have kind of approached it that way. One other interesting thing from Championship Sunday is Garoppolo playing poorly in that game. Because if he would have gone back to the Super Bowl with the Niners, you wonder if San Francisco would have said, okay, well, I guess this is our guy. Let's trade Trey Lance. And now if you're the Colts, I just don't think that option intrigues you at all, does it? He's a higher floor player than Wentz is. He's certainly good. And I trust the numbers, Jake. And I'm not a big eye test guy because I think eye test sometimes goes to personal biases. But you watch him play, and you're like, is this it?
But here's the thing. Garoppolo, I like Garoppolo. But Garoppolo in San Francisco has some weapons around him that he wouldn't have in Indianapolis.
Well, that too.
I mean, a Deebo Samuel to dump the ball off. I mean, that was a huge part of what San Francisco does. I know they have Jonathan Taylor. I get it. And then Pittman. But Kittle? I mean, the Colts have zero time. Every team that's alive or competitive, a huge part of their play is the tight end position.
Yeah.
Except for the Colts.
Yeah. That's another area. Just pass catcher in general.
I mean, they got a local lumberjack that blocks really well, and then a former college basketball player. That's it.
I guess my problem with Garoppolo is that, a lot of people pointing to the last play being a Wentz play. Look, it's desperation.
Hey.
You know what I mean? He just tosses it up there, whatever.
And I get it. You're right. 3rd and long. He knows he's going to get sacked. But I don't know that that's entirely on Garoppolo because the ball was tipped.
Yeah, and the pass rush was just overwhelming them up front too. But what you cannot have, and you could talk me into a lot of quarterbacks, you can't have your fan base bleeping its pants in a tough spot watching their quarterback. And that's what you were doing with the Niners. You were like, oh my God, oh bleep, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to drive us down the field and win this game.
Right.
You never felt that way if you were a fan of the Patriots with Brady or the Colts with Manning or the Saints with Breeze or any of those guys.
The bigger
you never
question
felt
is
that
this.
way.
The bigger question is, as a fan base of the Colts, are you saying, oh bleep, about the fact that when you look at the next 5 years, Joe Burrow and the Bengals, Justin Herbert and the Chargers,
yeah, all of it,
Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, Josh Allen and the Bills. Now, Lamar Jackson, just based on his overwhelming athleticism that we see can go away, maybe he's teetering a little bit.
His team kind of crumbled around him in Lamar's defense.
Where is there room at the table?
Yeah, I don't know. And people were asking me, well, you don't like Garoppolo, you don't like Wentz, you don't like this guy, you don't like that guy. Who's your guy? And I said, I don't know.
Right.
I don't have an answer for you. That's the problem for the Colts is that there is no answer. Is it Garoppolo? I don't think so. Is it Carr? I don't think so. We know it's not Wentz. So who's the long-term guy? He's not on the roster right now. And what do you do, Jake? You've got a general manager entering into year 6 and a head coach entering into year 5. You're not going to tank. You're not going to throw Ellinger out there in year 5 and 6 and go 4-12 and get the high draft pick because Ballard and Reich want to save their jobs.
In addition to that, Derek, the Colts could be looking a lot different in terms of their coaching staff next year.
Yeah, defensively especially. Matt Eberflus takes the Bears job, and he's taking a lot of the Colts position coaches with him. So it looks like you're going to have an entire overhaul of the Colts defensive staff. So far, we're taping this right now on Monday morning. So far, they've interviewed Jim Schwartz, the former Lions DC.
Do you remember we had him on Radio Row at the Super Bowl? And
I like him a great deal.
He was really cool, wasn't he?
He's a great personality. I'm not sure about him as a head coach, but he's been a good defensive coach for basically his entire career. Chris Richard, who was talked about when they hired Frank Reich, I believe they interviewed him. Now with the Saints, was with the Cowboys, was with the Seahawks previously. And a couple of other names that you'll recognize, Gus Bradley being one of them, the former Jaguars head coach.
Was he on 60 Minutes?
I'm not sure if Gus Bradley was ever on. What would the topic have been? The Jaguars?
Well, wasn't he one of them at the beginning? 60 Minutes with, and then they have the names, and then.
Oh, you mean Ed Bradley?
Wasn't there a Gus fella also? There was a Bradley and a Gus,
I don't think so.
right? Gus was the
Ed
name.
was like the legendary. He was like one of the faces of the
he
show.
just passed, I think, Ed Bradley, right?
I think you're right.
Gus is an underused name. You don't hear the name Gus a lot. He was Beaver Cleaver's fireman friend.
The only Gus that I know is, besides Gus Farrat, is Dana Bembo's goat, Gus.
It's a
pet goat.
Huh?
Dana Bembo has a pet goat named Gus.
But he's the glorious goat, isn't it? Something like that?
Well, his name is Gus.
Well, I know, but like she has a whole thing that goes with his title. He has a title.
Okay, sure. I'm not going to get into like Daenerys Targaryen of, Queen of the Unburnt and Unsullied or whatever. Like, I didn't know there was some like Game of Thrones level title with Gus the Goat.
Yeah. Now, Gus from Leave It to Beaver, who was the fireman friend of Beaver, that fella was the same one that played the guy whose father was killed by Jesse James on the Brady Bunch.
Are you into any 21st century pop culture? Like television or music? Like anything past 1982? Does any of that stuff interest you? I just didn't know.
When did that song Cowboy by Kid Rock come out?
Oh, my God. Cowboy.
You seem to know it well.
It's the
Oasis?
absolute.
No, they're not 21st century.
It's the absolute worst.
96.
Yeah.
No, I don't. The Wire.
Okay, yeah, there we go. That's, early 21st
Ted
century.
Lasso?
Yeah, see, I haven't seen Ted Lasso. Okay.
Well, do you watch anything that's current?
Okay, well,
what in the world?
Everybody's
Everybody's watching
really dated stuff.
Ozark?
Like, I had somebody message me. I don't know why people do this, but somebody messaged me. It was like, I think Jake's attractive or whatever else. But she said that it's a little off-putting how dated his references are.
Yeah, well, I think actually it sounds like this female might have been a little off-put that my dating didn't include her.
Well, I kind of let, Derek at QuarryandSchultz.com, you see a message. It's like, hey, this is from Chelsea. I'm like, oh, cool. We have a female viewer of the show. Hey, don't say anything, but I have kind of a crush on Jake. I was just asking, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, thanks. Why would
told
you
me they had a crush
that?
on you because they said that you were cute and funny.
You mentioned that on the show, yeah.
But cute, they meant
a couple of weeks
kind of
ago.
like a little boy cute type thing.
No, I think they made cute like.
Yeah, I don't
cute.
think so.
Well, April said I was yummy on Twitter last week, so that was nice.
Yeah, I know. I was not happy with that.
Yeah, it hurt your feelings.
April came onto the show because of me. I'm the one that brought April into the show, and then I bring her into the show. What happens? But she sides with you now over me.
That's what happens. You bring them in, I close the deal.
We have a lot to get to today, including our Sage Move of the Week. We're also going to get to our Love Heating and Air. That's Love Heating and Air Conditioning. Love That Play of the Week, college basketball to talk about. Speaking of college basketball, before we get to the first break, Derek, just a couple of hours ago, we're taping this on a Monday, it was announced that longtime public address announcer Chuck Crabb at Indiana University, who had done football for many years, you've heard his voice 1,000 times at Assembly Hall. Of course, he is most known for, sophomore, and his understated delivery, 3-point basket, 3 points. Number 3, Jay Edwards. Edwards on the assist from Jones, number 4. The same thing each and every game. Announced his effective immediate retirement from Indiana University. Derek, there are, to me, for any person, no matter their line of work, when they can look back at their career and realize that their efforts and their career and their work became an interwoven piece of the fabric of a culture, of a group of people in an area, that is the ultimate testament to one's skill set or one's contribution. Indiana basketball, for the better part of my childhood, obviously, I grew up during the Bob Knight era. And I think one of the things that people liked about Indiana basketball, or that took pride in about Indiana basketball, was there were so many areas where it was simplistically different. There were no signs inside of Assembly Hall and banners and advertisements. The the players were wearing the same uniforms and seemingly the same warm-ups that have been around forever. And there was this simplistic nature to it. They didn't bend the rules like other programs. They were true student athletes, all those things that went with Bob Knight's Indiana. And the perfect complement and accentuation to all of that was this deliberate, just understated style of broadcast at Assembly Hall. It was as much a part of Assembly Hall as the little plastic cups that have the different logos every year or the candy stripes. And that was Chuck Crabb's, your arena announcer, Chuck Crabb, reminding you that was such a part of Indiana basketball. And I think for so many people of my age group and younger and older, it was part of the soundtrack of living in Indiana. So kudos to Chuck Crabb for a job well done and for becoming a major part of a fun thing for all of us in Indiana.
Yeah, his voice, iconic, and sophomore and all of that. You remember that. But I just remember I was on the very tail end, or I guess the very beginning of the post-Knight era, because my freshman year was Mike Davis's first non-interim year. So 01 to 02, and that was
the head
still
coach for Indiana. Now in his second season in Bloomington, Mike Davis.
They did not allow signs in the student section, and it was just the popcorn, the pep band, and Chuck Crabb. Those were the three appeals of Assembly Hall, and obviously the world has changed since then, and Indiana basketball has evolved with it finally, and it needed to, but that was always something. It was like a warm, cozy blanket. You step in that place, and it was something that you remember that you got nostalgic about, so I'll miss that.
See, I don't think they needed to, but I'm an old guy.
It's pretty cool, the ribbon boards and the scoreboards. Like, I remember being in the 39th row of the main in the student section where the balcony overhang, and you would have to get down on the floor like this to see the scoreboard, or you'd have to yell up, "What's the count?" 5 rows in front of you, and somebody would yell it back to you. Yeah, because you wouldn't be able to see either of the side scoreboards.
The old scoreboard at Assembly Hall, which has now been placed back into Assembly Hall, but for like 2 years it was laying in the woods in Monroe County somewhere.
Yeah. I've been to thousands of games as a fan and as a media member, and the 5 worst seats that I've ever sat in have all been at Assembly Hall. It has some of the absolute venue, it's a cool venue. It has some of the absolute worst seats for any live sporting event.
All right.
Like if you're in the corners of the balcony or you're under the main, it's awful.
Well, the balcony itself is
Well, it's a little scary.
It's like this, right?
Well, I've been in raucous games too at Assembly Hall, and you're worried that thing's going to fall.
Yeah.
It feels like it's shaking.
Yeah. But it's cool.
Yeah, and Good on Chuck Crabb. I hope health-wise, I hope everything's okay, because it does give you a little bit of pause to see effective immediately.
I know.
That's a little abnormal.
It is, but hope all is well.
We're going to come back and talk about Tom Brady retiring, ? We think so. Also, IU and Purdue, really big weeks for both of them.
You can call it a query mark.
So positives when it comes to that.
You can call it a query mark if you'd like.
So pull the lever, and we're going to come back with some more fun here on Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Stick around.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
Your life is on the go. Now your viewing habits can be on the go. With the ISC Sports Network app, your team is at your fingertips. You can download years' worth of content from the ISC Sports Network library. High school, college, special events, weekly and monthly shows, wherever you find your favorite app. And you can always find out more information at iscsportsnetwork.com.
Welcome back. It's Query and Schultz, presented by Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender.
Tell me you've got a photo op tomorrow?
I do, yeah. A big deal for me tomorrow. Well, actually, it's kind of a big deal over the weekend, but it's a bigger deal once I get to announce it on Instagram. That's when you know it's really big deal. But my Super Bowl oral history piece, I think they called it We Were Champions, the oral history of Super Bowl 46 in Indianapolis, 10-year anniversary this week. Isn't that crazy to think that was 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Was published in the February 2022 issue, so the latest issue of Indianapolis Monthly will be available online soon, but I'm going over to IM at the Emmis headquarters tomorrow morning when you'll still be on the air with Kevin to pick up a couple of issues and snap a couple of pictures in front of the Indy Monthly sign and all that.
Snap a couple pictures for
my IG.
You have an Instagram?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's mostly pictures of my kid, but this one's going to be all me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So fans can follow me at Derek_Schultz on Instagram. DMs are open.
Do you do the TikTok?
No, I haven't done that yet. Pretty soon here. I wanted to sign up for Cameo, but I want you to sign up with me because I think it carries more weight if it's the Query and Schultz Cameo.
Oh, you're saying
We had talked about that on the show.
Okay. What would we charge for a Cameo?
Oh, God.
Should we give a sample right now?
Well, we have to split it, so it's got to be a little bit higher.
Let's give a sample right now.
I'm thinking like $50
give
and
me a
then
name.
probably $500 for corporate.
Okay, well, give me a name.
Larry.
Larry. Okay, what's the occasion?
Larry's 70th birthday, and he's a huge fan of the show.
Okay, here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Larry, how are you? It's Query. Derek, it's a Cameo. You're supposed to say something.
Oh, am I supposed to talk to you?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry. I thought you were going to lead it a little bit more than that. And I'm Derek Schultz.
Hey, Larry, my understanding is it's your 70th birthday, and Derek and I can debate for a long time who the best number 70 is of all time. I'd say Art Donovan, right?
Probably.
Why are you looking like Cindy Brady?
It's a Cameo. You have to maintain. Have you ever watched Cameo before?
Why are you looking at me right now, then? Look at the camera.
You're ruining the Cameo now.
Larry,
Larry's
happy
like, this is
70th.
horrible.
Derek sucks at this, but I'm really good. If you had just paid for me, you'd gotten an entire message just for me, Jake Query. But instead, it's Query and Schultz, which means one good message, one guy that has no idea what's going on. Anything you want to add, Derek?
Happy birthday, Larry, from your main man, Schultz.
Okay, yeah. Find Derek on Instagram, apparently.
Derek_Schultz.
Yeah, okay.
Have a great one.
That's worth that. That ain't worth
$50.
No, $5.
$50, 25 to each of us. Well, there'll be fees. Cameo takes some off the top, but like $20 for each of us, right there.
Zero chance anybody would do that.
Oh, 100% people would do that for us.
You
to
were
give them shout-out.
frozen. You look ridiculous.
I just didn't know where you were going. It's actually your fault. You're supposed to be the point guard that is like setting the offense, and you're not relaying the calls to me. So I have no idea if I'm supposed to screen or cut or what I'm supposed to do.
What part of that? When I look at you, like we've done this forever.
I can't see you because I'm maintaining eye contact with Larry. Just admit that you're bad at this. This portion of the show brought to you by our friends at Chateau Kitchens. They're not bad at what they do. In fact, they are elite at what they do. Chateau Kitchens and home remodeling. ChateauKitchens.com.
Why are you giving
Speaking of Instagram, at Chateau Kitchens for their before and after pictures. Facebook
Excellent
as well.
stuff.
Steven was, I think he was on vacation last week. They go to national parks.
Oh,
You would like that.
Yeah,
It'd
that's
be
cool.
like your type of vacations where like they're staying in like rustic cabins and not making any human contact and all of that.
You know, I bet they're staying in those rustic cabins looking around going, you know what, they actually should do something with this.
Yeah, well, it is pretty scenic, the pictures that he shares on there. But it's also great to see all the cabinets and all the home remodeling that they do. We're approaching our construction date here coming up for our guest bathroom.
What's the longest you've gone without doing something to your house?
Ooh. When I got laid off and COVID hit, we froze. When I got laid off, I just completely spazzed out and froze like all spending.
Yeah.
And
You started calling me. We got laid off on a what, Tuesday?
yeah,
Yeah, and then you started calling me when?
Tuesday afternoon, probably.
What was
Yeah.
my element of freak out?
0. It actually it like bothered me. It made me angry how little freaked out you were. Like, I thought that my career was over. No one was ever going to hire me again, and we were going to have to go through like all of our savings, and we didn't really. We're lucky enough, privilege and all that. We didn't have to dip into that at all.
And we got laid off right before it was trendy, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, the world changed pretty quickly 6 weeks after that, but yeah, it's been a while since we had like a lull, but we like that. And Chateau Kitchens has done a lot of projects for us, not just our kitchen, but also our guest bathroom. They're going to do our basement when we're ready to do that. ChateauKitchens.com. Anything on the interior of your house, basements, bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchens, whatever it is, Chateau can take care of it for you.
I wanted to ask you one other thing in regards to the Colts defensive coordinator position, Derek. Are you overly worried about like what scheme a guy's going to bring?
No.
Or,
No, I'm not.
Although Chris Ballard's roster that he has built is very clearly predicated upon, having obviously like a 4-3. I don't know that necessarily
zone heavy.
Right.
Yeah, I understand that because you don't have the pass rush.
Mess my hair up.
If you had the pass rush, then you could move in. Fans are never going to be happy with the type of scheme that the Colts have largely employed over the last. Yeah, it looks fine. Over the last 20 years. Because you think back to the 2000s, those Ron Meeks defenses, right. It was all zone stuff, right? Tampa 2, and then you had Freeney and Mathis, who were the big pass rushers, teeing off with a 14 and a 21-point lead, and that was their recipe for success. With Eberflus, I thought he did pretty well with the ingredients that he had. I know people don't like it. Maybe he was a little too soft at times, but I think, if anything, he really maximized what the Colts had from a talent standpoint, and they were a playmaking, turn the ball over sort of defense. But those turnovers, to me, Jake, I think masked a lot of their inefficiencies, because when they weren't turning the opponent over, that's when they would really struggle. And fourth quarter defense, they were a disaster.
It is time, by the way, for our Sage Move of the Week, brought to you by the great folks at WGU Indiana. Actually, I have returned to school, doing online schooling right now to complete my degree. Whether or not you are thinking about finishing your degree like myself, over 700,000 Hoosiers still have college credits sitting out there. They do not expire. Or whether you are thinking about starting a degree for the first time. The advantage of WGU Indiana is that it allows you to work on your schedule, because ambition never rests, and no matter what it is that you are seeking in terms of the time allotment, WGU can work with you. WGU.edu/Indiana is the website. Each and every week they bring our Sage Move of the Week. Derek, your nominee is?
I want to just say congratulations, one of our show favorites. I know, Jake, you're a big fan of this person as well. Sage Move of the Week, Josh McDaniels finally getting a shot as a head coach with the Raiders.
Were you surprised by that? Honestly, no. What does it say about the Colts?
It's a lot like, no, see, I didn't take it like that. I think it's sort of like what we always joke about in dating, where you have that friend and you're like, I like this dude, but why do girls keep dating this guy? They just end up getting let down because he's got no ambition. He's not a public figure like I am, not as handsome, not as built, whatever else. And he keeps kind of getting that girl, and every girl thinks, oh, I'm going to be the person that's going to change him.
Right.
I think in a way that's what's happened here with McDaniels, where teams have been like, oh, see, we're the ones that's going to change this. I just think with Brady moving on from the Patriots, and then this whole new group coming in, and them having success, right? They didn't win a playoff game, but Mac Jones, a rookie quarterback, I think McDaniels proved, hey, look, I can do this. I don't need Brady to do this. I think it's time for him now to finally take the new challenge.
My Sage Move of the Week does involve quarterbacking play, but I'm going to go with, as we talked about, the Rams' decision 1 year. 1 year ago today, the Rams made the trade, sent Jared Goff to Detroit.
Oh,
and
was
got
that really?
Matthew
Wow,
Stafford
a year ago
back.
today. Wow.
And 364 days later, they are on their way to the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. Kudos to the Rams. They don't talk about chipping, pushing all chips in. They go for it, and they do exactly what other teams talk about, and they invest in it, and they see where they can go, and the Rams are headed to the Super Bowl.
By the way, if it wasn't clear, I'm being sarcastic. I don't like Josh McDaniels at all, and I think what he did to the Colts is really shiesty.
Now, you'd mentioned Tom Brady moving on from New England. Is Tom Brady moving on from Tampa?
Yeah, I think what this is a case of is Brady wanted to be in control of that, of the announcement, and obviously word leaked, and now you're just trying to save face. I mean, clearly he's going to retire.
I think Brady knows that on February 4th he is owed $15 of his $20 million signing bonus so long as he's on the roster February 4th. That was deferred.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
And he would get $15 million on the roster. Now, if he goes to February 18th, his entire salary is guaranteed, but they can recoup, the Bucs can, up to $16 million if he retires. But I will be honest, Derek, there is a small part of me that thought Brady still has some gas left in the tank, and he's putting up good numbers, and they were competitive.
Yeah.
I'd be a little bit surprised. That sounds crazy to say at his age, but I'd be a little bit surprised.
I was surprised when I saw the news on Saturday. I thought he'd come back for one more. But now that it's out there, there's just no way that this many
people commented last week I was yawning too much. I apologize if I'm yawning.
There's no way that this many established NFL reporters would have this wrong.
Did you see me yawning a lot?
No.
I don't feel like I'm yawning a lot, but I've been up since 5.
I know This is a 2-person show. I'm not usually paying attention to what you're doing on the show. I kind of want this is a vehicle for me to get my voice out there more than anything else. You're just
your
kind of
ops.
Somebody that's here, I guess.
Okay.
I guess we bounce stuff off of each other, but for the most part, like I've always viewed this as my show, and you're kind of like, Andy Richter or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm the Ed McMahon?
Not as prestigious as that, but yeah, like a poor man's
another
Ed McMahon.
very relevant reference.
Yeah.
Right?
No, the publishing house clearing guy. I know who that is.
He did do Publishers Clearinghouse. That's right.
What else did he do?
He was the sidekick to Johnny Carson. Paul Schaefer.
Okay, Paul Schaefer from Letterman.
Yeah.
I know that one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe. Okay, what's his name on Kimmel?
Guillermo?
Guillermo.
Okay, yeah.
So you're like Guillermo.
No, I'd be Kimmel.
Who am I?
Guillermo.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, somebody who's older and kind of dated.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. You'd be like network television late night shows, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you used to do that and stay up late because they play like the national anthem afterwards, right? Or wasn't that what you guys used to do in like the 70s?
Did you think I grew up in 1958?
Well, I'm saying, isn't that what you guys used to do?
Actually,
and then the TV used to just shut off.
Channel 4 did run the national anthem at like 2 in the morning. Yeah.
And then that would be it. That'd be the end of programming for the
Until
night,
the
right?
next morning, yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember Nick at Night used to just run reruns after like 8 p.m. It'd be like Green Acres and Mr. Ed and all of that. Yeah. And then I think they'd run the national anthem and sign off.
Really?
Yeah. I think.
Did you ever watch Green Acres?
No.
Mr. Ed?
No.
Lassie?
Yeah, a little bit.
Hazel?
I'm not familiar with that. Is that the one where she's the genie?
No, that's Bewitched. I Dream of Jeannie. I'm sorry. I Dream of Jeannie. Bewitched. Yeah. Did you watch Bewitched?
No.
Okay. Hogan's Heroes?
I know.
Beverly Hillbillies?
I know. Mr. T was Hogan's Heroes, right?
No,
and they drove the van?
No, that's A-Team. A-Team, yep.
Okay.
A little later. A-Team a little later.
Gotcha.
Fantasy Island?
Well, I know Fantasy Island.
I'll bet you
because
do.
of our Halloween costumes one year.
Yeah, you were tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
People loved that.
Sure.
Love that. What are we getting to next?
And we got fired like 2 weeks later, so good job. College basketball to get to
That was
next.
our last Halloween outfit, wasn't it?
IU and Purdue. It was.
Okay.
Big weeks for both the Hoosiers and Boilers. Positive things to talk about for both of those teams when we return. It's Query and Schultz here on ISC Sports Network.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
My goodness. 122.60 for Penn. What a swim! 6 of them.
Welcome back. Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender.
Look, Derek, I'm
presents
looking at
Corey
it
and
like
Schultz.
it's cameo. Which camera here? Middle camera?
Yeah, it's middle camera, so you see our monitor right down here, so you know.
No, I'm not looking at the monitor. I'm looking at the camera. Cameo. Hi, Larry. Happy birthday.
Well, that's just weird. That looks like you want to kill him and then eat him. It's just creepy.
How am I supposed to look? Like you?
No, you're not doing it right. You got to be – you don't have, like, the confidence, self-confidence. Oh, actually, you have a lot of self-confidence, but not the way that I do. Like, yours comes off as cockiness. Mine comes off as, like, assertiveness.
I've been told my whole life I'm cocky, and I've asked people, I'm like, I don't get that.
You don't get that you love yourself?
I mean, I love me some me.
Yeah.
That's
Cocky.
No.
Yeah.
No. Give me an example of me being cocky.
I think you have a good heart. I do, genuinely. And I think people see that with your charitable causes and you like looking out for people, disadvantaged people and animals and all of that. Like that it's a very endearing quality. But I think you just have sort of a bit of an arrogance that comes off. Yeah.
I've been told my whole life I'm arrogant. That's it. Not cocky, arrogant. My mom's like, even my mom was like, you do come off a little bit arrogant. How?
I mean, you called every single one of our interns for 10 years Jimmy.
Well,
you never got to
remember.
learn any of their names.
The one Jimmy's out in Colorado, right? Nice kid.
Yeah, his name's Sean.
Yeah.
And Sean was a very nice kid.
Nice guy, yeah.
Yeah. Sam Rumsa, who is now a coworker of yours at Emmis.
Right.
You called him Jimmy in 2012 for the entire summer.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Jimmy, get me a burger. Jimmy, where's my Mountain Dew? Jimmy, the thermostat in here is effing 66 or whatever else.
Well, in here right now.
Yeah.
Well, you turn it up. Thank you. 782.
And I think that's where that arrogance comes from.
Look, I don't know about arrogant with Purdue, but Jaden Ivey's got a swagger about him, Derek. He took a shot in Indiana at Assembly Hall that narrowly missed.
Mm-hmm.
And when Ohio State came roaring back against Purdue and all hell was breaking loose and the world was collapsing for Purdue, and it looked like they were going to surrender a 20-point lead and they needed a bucket late, and I think the play broke down a little bit, and Eric Hunter managed to find Jaden Ivey as the shot clock and the game clock were running down, and he let go a three that was a hell of a shot, and that was big time play.
Yeah, it's one of those wins where if you would have lost that game, you'd really worry about potentially, I don't want to overstate it, but it'd be such a crushing loss, you'd worry about the season falling apart after that. I mean, it's not the fact that Purdue is up 20. We see teams blow leads. They were up 10 with like a minute 30 left.
Right.
I mean, I still just kind of happened to have that game on because it was on. I was doing other stuff, but I thought Purdue was well on their way. And then Ohio State has this incredible flurry at the end, and they're about to force overtime, and Ivey hits that shot. Purdue did a lot of great things in that game, but two things that concern me about them moving forward is, one, free throw shooting.
Right.
And Indiana's got that problem too. And two, there just doesn't seem to be a calm down everyone guy that they can give the ball to. You know?
I think, Derek, it's more – you're right. I mean, the problem is when Jaden Ivey gets the ball in that situation, I think a lot of guys are standing around waiting for him to do something. And you saw with his athleticism that he's able to do that.
Sure.
The other thing for Purdue that's of concern to me is their inability at times to handle the press.
Yeah.
And they do seem, once they get big leads, to have difficulty holding on to those leads, right? But speaking of the Jaden Ivey shot, it is our Love That Play, which we give each and every weekend to our favorite play
No-brainer.
of the weekend. Absolutely no-brainer. So is it a no-brainer when it either your heating needs or your air conditioning needs. Love Heating and Air Conditioning is the place that you want to turn. Love-HVAC.com is their website. 317-353-2141 is the telephone number for Love Heating and Air Conditioning. You see their vans, their trucks around town, and, of course, that's because they've been around since 1920. Over 100 years, family-owned business, 4 generations deep. You last that long with great product, knowledge of product, great customer service, 24-hour on-call maintenance. That's the advantage of Love Heating and Air Conditioning. And Jaden Ivey shot, undoubtedly, our Love That Play of the weekend. Now, growing up, as I did with the Loves, I was a huge Indiana basketball fan, and IU got themselves a nice win over a struggling Maryland program.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State and Maryland are two of the worst teams in the league, but you destroyed both of them.
For Maryland, right?
Yeah, you destroyed both of them. I mean, this is what happens, Jake, sometimes when you have a coach that leaves in the middle of the year.
Still a strange deal.
Yeah, I'm surprised how little fight back that Maryland had in that game. But two important wins for Indiana, especially coming off what was a really disappointing loss to Michigan last week, which was coming off the big Purdue win. But Indiana's now putting themselves in really good tournament shape. I think if the season ended today, they're firmly in the field, because that's what I was shooting for them. That's what I was thinking. I think this could be like an 8-9 seed level team, and that's about where they are. Now, you're thinking they might be like a 6, which would still take some
They're
more.
They're going to have some work to do, yeah.
Their non-conference is not going to do them any favors there. But
that's a good point.
You know who continues to play really well, and at times he's drawn the ire of the fan base, notably in the second half collapse early in the season against Wisconsin. But Xavier Johnson has been playing at a really high level here lately, and Indiana is just so much better when they get competent to really good point guard play.
And, Christian Lander had to give him some minutes.
Yeah, good. And
Finally
I'm glad.
Four fouls in 10 minutes, though.
You know what? Let's give him some credit, because for as much as we complain about this generation of players and a bunch of quitters, they don't want to fight for their spot, Lander has stuck it out, right?
It's fair.
He is not – it's not gone as planned, certainly for him in his Indiana career, and a guy that didn't recruit him is now the head coach, and he's been buried as the PG-3, so good for him to get back there on the court.
It's PG-13 is the movie rating.
No, the third point guard. The PG-3. As I said, people know what I'm talking about when I say that.
Point guard. Do you know what you mentioned Penn State and Maryland?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what separates Pennsylvania from Maryland?
The Mason-Dixon line?
Look at the big brain on Derek. Wow, yes, that's correct. The Mason-Dixon line.
Do you know the only reason I know that?
Because I asked it to you before?
No, I just finished a 23-hour book. I was telling Jordan about this. We were setting up for a Ben Davis basketball game, because he grew up in southeastern PA. Or
Ben Davis did?
Near there, or southern PA. I finished a 23-hour audiobook on Gettysburg.
Okay.
And that's where the troops were kind of coming in.
23 hours to read the book?
From Maryland. It was a 23-hour audiobook, which I listened to at double time. So it took me 12 hours to read the book.
Double time? What's that mean?
2 times speed. So the author's talking really fast, and they go into Gettysburg, and they move the troops into Maryland, and then it was the battle, and the third day of the Gettysburg, and blah, 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 blah. But I can retain all the information. So I'm like doing dishes or laundry, or I'm in my car, and that's how I listen to audiobooks.
Is
so
that hard to listen to
I
that
smoke
fast?
through books in like a week. It's great. You know what's really cool? And I never realized
those
this.
audiobooks have completely ruined me on Braille.
But between the ages of 14 and 24, I never realized this. It's really neat to like learn stuff.
Yeah,
learn things.
I'm back in college.
Yeah. Like the only thing that really interested me were
I got to look and see. I had to turn a paper in last night. Derek.
Cigarettes and drinking and girls and sports. Like those were the only things that really interested me during those ages. And now, as an adult, I'm like, oh my God, like there's all this stuff that I remember teachers mentioning in school, but I don't know anything about, so I'm going to learn more about them. And that's what I've done with audiobooks. Because Ashley got me on that kick during the pandemic. She's like, you should start listening to books. And I blasted through all the Harry Potter books, but now I learn about school stuff that I probably should have retained when I was in school.
Let's see.
Are you going through a reading list? What are you doing?
Dear students, I just received a great question related to the peer review of the news event article. The student was wondering where to post their peer review. Class I'm taking. I'm taking a public relations.
Oh, that's right. You're in school. Yeah.
I had to write a media article yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
As a media, like how the media would write articles. It's fun.
I mean, so much of my life has just been learning from the streets and getting street smarts.
This is for SP22.
More so than book smarts.
Public Relations 30637.
So I'm like real savvy when it comes to like life stuff.
Taking a 300 level music listener class.
Not school stuff. 300 level. Wow. Yeah. That's a big jump for you. You didn't want to start with 100? It's been, 30 years since you've been in college? So
yeah. I'm picking up some electives. Okay. I've got an algebra class you have to take. Do you know anybody that would like to take one?
No, okay. I do not know anybody. The best elective I ever took, History of American Sport at IU. It met at Woodbourne Hall. The term paper had to be 10 pages, but you could pick whatever topic that you wanted. And I wrote a 10-page term paper on the 1999 Knicks. And my professor asked me for a bibliography at the end, and I said, bibliography? Derek Schultz's brain. There you go. Split out.
And they said what to that? Tell me more about Latrell.
I lost the letter grade, so I got a B-.
Okay.
But it was an A- paper, but I got a B- because I didn't cite any of my sources.
C's get degrees.
I didn't need any sources. I knew everything that there is.
C's get degrees, buddy.
About the 99 Knicks.
That's what I'm going for. Now, this particular class, currently it says that I have an 89.1% or F.
Well, is it pass-fail or what is it?
I don't know. It just says 89.1%.
Maybe it just means that it's pass-fail, but you have 89%, so you're very on the pass side.
But
that has to be what it means.
But it says F.
Well, no, it only means you can only pass or fail it, but here is how close you are to passing compared to failing.
81.9%. See what you make of that. Up in the top right there. 81.9%.
Yeah.
But it says F. How could I have an F if I've got 81.9%?
I don't know. Maybe your attitude needs work. That happened to me one time in a class.
Okay.
Where I got a B in the class, but I got an F for attitude.
Okay. What do we have to get to next?
We've got our last feature to get to, Bot or Bull Bleep, quick hits as well.
Okay.
And I thought there was something else that we were going to talk about.
You told me about some McDonald's thing that's got you excited.
Oh, yeah, this is a real problem. We'll come back with that, too. McDonald's issue. Corporate America just stomping on the little guy again. It's Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
Your life is on the go. Now your viewing habits can be on the go. With the ISC Sports Network app, your team is at your fingertips. You can download years' worth of content from the ISC Sports Network library. High school, college, special events, weekly and monthly shows, wherever you find your favorite app. And you can always find out more information at iscsportsnetwork.com.
Welcome back. Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender presents Corey and Schultz. Thanks so much for joining us here on ISC Sports Network. Alongside Jay Corey, I'm Derek Schultz.
Bailey & Wood's fabulous, by the way.
The best.
Locally owned.
BAWFG.com.
Their golf outing's huge. Raises a lot of money for charity.
855-350-HOME. And 13 Indiana branch locations. So if you're looking to refi
BAWFG.com, right?
or get pre-approved for a home mortgage,
BAWFG.com.
go to BAWFG.com. And they do a lot in the Central Indiana and Indianapolis community as well, as far as charitable works are concerned. McDonald's likes to pretend to care about local communities, but they have found a way to – I guess this isn't a direct violation of my trademark. Or I shouldn't say my trademark, Dan's trademark, my freshman year roommate. I'm going to not say his last name to protect all innocent parties.
Where was Dan from?
St. Louis. He went to Chaminade.
Okay, and now Dan was your roommate for the whole year?
Yes, but then he transferred to SLU to be with Lindsay, who was his high school sweetheart.
How'd that
and he got to SLU and realized that Lindsay had been at SLU
Sleuthing?
our entire freshman year, St. Louis University.
She was sleuthing at SLU.
With somebody else.
So how did you know? Did you stay in touch with Dan?
Oh, yeah. We still stay in touch a little bit now. He's out in Thailand. He's in Thailand or Taiwan, one of those two.
What's he doing there?
He did teaching for, I think he did Teach for America for a while or something. And I don't know. I don't actually know. I don't really know. All my friends know what I do because I'm like a big public figure and all that, but I don't really know what a lot of my friends do.
Who's the arrogant one here?
No, I'm just saying, I I mean, I'm sure they have.
So what did McDonald's
jobs
do to
and all
rip
that.
off Dan?
Well, they are making available their menu hacks. There's always been this secret menu at McDonald's that people have kind of known about, but there are 4 items from the menu hack that you can now get starting Monday. We're taping this right now on Monday at McDonald's. A hash brown McMuffin, self-explanatory, right? So it's just an egg McMuffin, but you get a hash brown on top of it, which sounds actually pretty good. Most of the rest of these sound awful. The crunchy double, a 6-piece nugget on top of a double cheeseburger.
Yeah.
The land, air, and sea, which is the combination of a Big Mac, a McChicken, and a Filet-O-Fish. And what would closely resemble Dan's creation at Reed McDonald's in fall of 2001 at Indiana University. He called it a flounder pounder, which is a Filet-O-Fish smashed together with a quarter pounder with cheese and tartar sauce. This is a Filet-O-Fish with a double cheeseburger, and McDonald's calls it the surf and turf. But the double cheeseburger is between the Filet-O-Fish. So patty beef.
You mean the Filet-O-Fish is between?
Patty beef, Filet-O-Fish, patty beef, bun. And flounder pounder was just 4 buns. So Filet-O-Fish sandwich full, QP with cheese full, smashed together.
QP with cheese.
Yeah,
And
quarter
did you
pounder.
ever witness him eating this?
Oh, yeah. And Dan was 140 pound. He was like 6'2" and probably 140 pounds soaking wet. Yeah.
Must be nice.
I guess so. I mean, that was the freshman year kind of metabolism and all of that.
Okay.
So I'm mad at McDonald's because now people are like, oh, my God, I never knew there was a surf and turf. I'm like, I've known for 20 years. You take a Filet-O-Fish, QP with cheese, smash it together, flounder pounder.
Nobody
Boom.
says QP. It's just quarter pounder.
QP with cheese, yeah.
No, quarter pounder. A quarter pounder
You know
automatically
what
comes.
I used to get as a freshman was a D QP with cheese. So then you add the extra QP. So it becomes, I guess, an HP at that point, right? I didn't take math at IU, but Q and Q would be H. So either a DQP or an HP.
So you're
with
saying
cheese.
a double quarter pounder?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, that would be a half pounder.
yeah. So a DQP, I'd smash that thing.
Okay.
But a lot of times, we were hungry because we were kids, but also, we were hungry for other reasons for exotic McDonald's sandwiches. And you could use your meal points.
They had a McDonald's in the dorm?
Yeah, they didn't have that when you were there?
I'll tell you what. Well, I didn't live in the dorms at IU. I lived in the dorms for about 3 weeks at the University of Kansas. I lived in JRP was the name of the dorm. And I remember the one time I would go. All I did was sleep all day and then go to lunch. And I went one time and they ordered, or they had catfish nuggets. And I'm like, okay.
At
I'm
McDonald's?
Like, no, just like in the
Okay,
in
gotcha.
the dorm. So I sat down and was just about to eat. I dipped in the ketchup or whatever, and I was just about to eat it. And they came out and they're like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa!" We're like, "What?" And they're like, "We forgot to descale the nuggets." And all the fish skin was still on the nuggets, and it was breaded over that.
Ugh.
People were like spitting out. It was.
Food court food at IU was really good, I think, for the most part.
Remember the rumor when we were at IU, the urban legend? Maybe it's true. I don't know. Indiana University is the largest maker daily of ice cream in the world. Remember that?
I never heard that.
Yeah. All the ice cream apparently is made there.
I lived in Wright Quad, so we had the best food court. We had a Chester Fried. It had a Dunkin' when my first year that we
Dunkin'
were there.
Donuts?
Yeah, and then it became like Cream and Crimson Creations or something. And it had like a walk, so you could get like sweet and sour chicken and all that. And then it had burgers, and you can get breakfast buddies. I miss those.
Breakfast buddies?
Yeah, they were like Egg McMuffins, but they call them breakfast buddies.
Okay, what about Delights? That was my favorite. In the Union.
Yeah, in the Union. They had no-bake cookies and all that.
And you could buy the popcorn with the white cheddar sauce.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Big fan of that.
Yeah, me too. It's good eats. Good times. I don't know if they have any of that stuff in Indiana anymore.
No.
I haven't been, it's been 20 whatever years. You ready for quick hits?
Yep.
Let's do it. Do not touch me. You already stole one of my quick hits because it was the Chuck Crab news. Pacers home all week after a long road stretch. They miraculously went 3-5 over their last 8, including beating Oklahoma City in a game that nobody wanted to see them win.
Yeah.
I feel for people to a point, but if you're covering the team, like, don't you have to admit to yourself, hey, this is the people that are consuming my product. I guess if I was covering the team, I wouldn't be like fully in tank mode, but I would also be really cognizant of the fact that when I say, oh, geez, a really bad night for the Pacers and they lose this game by 3 points, actually, it's not a bad night at all. It's a good night.
Well, if you're going into tank lottery
yeah,
mode, yes.
like let's not pretend like beating Oklahoma City is actually a good thing. It's not. It's a bad thing because the season's already lost, so you'd rather just lose. Now, you don't want to lose like they did with that 153-point performance against Charlotte.
Wasn't it?
I thought it was 153.
Either way.
Well, regardless,
Over
I mean, it was
150,
obscene amount of points. So they've got the Clips tonight. We're taping this on Monday. I don't know what their other games are. They're playing other basketball games at home this week. Who cares? Rafa Nadal alone on top for now after winning his 21st Grand Slam title. Aussie Open win over the weekend. Just his second Aussie title, first since 2019.
I'm a big Rafael Nadal fan.
Yeah, some people are like, well, Djokovic wasn't there. Look, all three of those guys have taken advantage of absences from the other. The only reason Fed ever won a French Open was because Rafa was hurt. So Fed came in and won.
Federer,
and Joker's
Rafael
done the
Nadal.
same thing, where Joker's he's had either Rafa or Fed not participate in an event, and then he's just run over the field.
Okay.
So it's great to see for Rafa 21 Grand Slams. I mean, 21 slams is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his slams are old enough to legally drink.
How'd Vitas do?
That's how good they are. I don't know who you're talking about.
Vitas Gerulaitis? Is that how you say his name?
No, I don't know what you mean.
Pat Cash? How'd he do?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yvonne Lindell?
The Snapple guy?
Boris Becker?
Yeah, they're not around anymore, man.
Boris Becker. Is
They're still alive, but yeah, not really
Okay. Jimmy Connors?
around anymore. Late to the party on this, but congratulations to David Ortiz. He's going to be inducted into the 2022 Baseball Hall of Fame class. First ballot, which was surprising to me because he's a DH.
Who cares?
An unbelievable postseason performer, though.
Yeah,
Lots of memorable postseason moments for him.
But Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Roger Clemens should not be in. Unpopular opinion, they should not be in.
I think it's kind of a joke. Well, why should Ortiz be in?
Ortiz was at least once I think a couple of things. Ortiz never, once his name was rumored or linked in that investigation, he never tested positive after that. And I don't think he was an arrogant jerk about it. Baseball's Hall of Fame is unique because more than any other sport, the respect and understanding of the unwritten rules of the sport and abiding by them are as much a part of being in the Hall of Fame as what happens between the lines.
So Ortiz should be in the Hall of Fame because he didn't test positive a second time and he's a nice guy?
Did he? I can't remember. Did he test positive the first time?
Well, technically, yeah. A lot of those results got thrown out as false positives,
Right.
though. But all those guys were on it. Bonds, A-Rod, all those guys were on it. It was
I'm
the
just
Mitchell
saying,
report.
I understand your sarcasm with it or your hesitancy with it. I'm saying not being a defiant jerk about it does count for something.
I guess my overall point is that I don't know that Derek Jeter didn't use PEDs.
I understand.
I don't know that Ken Griffey Jr. didn't
understand.
use. I don't know that Mariano Rivera didn't use. And I certainly don't know that Ortiz didn't use. There was suspicion. You know, Ortiz got to Boston and started launching 50 homers a year out of nowhere.
Right.
He was a nobody before that in Minnesota.
What did your wife do when he'd hit a big hit?
Puppy! It was the worst thing. It was awful. I hated it. I don't know why it was so high-pitched either. It was terrible. Just thinking about it makes me shake. I hate it. Okay. And she wants to go, by the way, to Cooperstown. She's all like hell-bent on we have to go for the Hall of Fame.
Well,
I was expecting it was going to take a couple of years for Ortiz to get
live there?
Yeah. So we have a place to stay. But I don't want to go because it's just Ortiz. So I'm not going with, 100,000 Sox fans and spending the entire weekend. Pass.
Well,
love my wife, but
you could try to get autographs, right? Like our buddy Rob Nagel. He's got autographs of every Hall of Fame.
Well, I've already kind of been there. I did that all throughout the 90s, so I'm good on Hall of Fame autographs. But I just think it's, for as good as he was, I just think it's kind of ridiculous. And
do all the other Hall of Famers come back for the Hall of Fame induction?
A lot of them do. I think it's just kind of a symbol of the ridiculous nature of picking and choosing that David Ortiz, for as good as he was, is probably like the fifth best player on that ballot, and he's the only one that's going to get in.
Do you know who Lou Profeta is?
I mean, no offense to Ortiz, but Barry Bonds was 10 times the player that David Ortiz was.
Of course. Do you know who Lou Profeta is?
No.
Doctor, locally. He's a member of the North Central Hall of Fame, and he came back for my induction, as a Hall of Fame inductee himself. He was there for my induction, which
cool.
I posted. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I petitioned my high school to be part of their Hall of
To
Fame.
be part of mine, they wouldn't.
No. Well, I mean, North Central maybe. For my impact on the city of Indianapolis, I should probably get a lot of Hall of Fame invites for stuff like that.
You submitted
the
to
city?
Trumbull's?
Yeah.
What'd they say?
They have not replied. They have yet to reply.
They're looking to see who you are?
But I would put all those. I mean, Jake, Harold Baines is in the Hall of Fame.
Harold Baines is the one.
Come on, man.
I mean, don't you
Give me a
feel like
break.
McGuire, Sosa, aren't they going to get in with like the Veterans Committee
Well,
or something?
let's separate that because, Bonds and Clemens, you're talking about two of the 10 greatest players
You're right.
probably ever. Like, McGuire and Sosa had nice careers. McGuire and Sosa wouldn't even be two of the 100 probably.
There's no doubt that Clemens and
greatest
Bonds,
players.
from a
Yeah.
strictly from a playing talent standpoint, they are.
But it's just not worth. I'm not even really interested. It's becoming like kind of the new Pete Rose Hall of Fame thing, the steroids thing. I just think picking and choosing based on who we like is hypocritical and ridiculous. That's all.
It's human nature.
We'll come back with Bite or Bowl Bleep and wrap up episode 71 of Query and Schultz next here on ISC Sports Network.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
McCulling in time. Oh, no! It's good.
This one is caught.
There you go.
Wow, Dawson makes a great catch.
Spin, win, 3, bury it for Leland Walker.
Tie the game they do with the dunk by Malik Edmonds. What a play.
Oh, my goodness.
I feel a little momentum starting to fall Ellen's way.
That in the air. Wrestler! Wrestler! Whoa!
Welcome back to Query and Schultz here on ISC Sports Network. Jake Query along with Derek Schultz for the final time in this installment, episode number 71. Thank you for those of you that are still around after Derek's little rant about David Ortiz.
I wasn't ranting. I was just telling you how I felt.
Time now for Buy It or Bull Schultz, where Derek makes a statement and then we determine whether we buy it or we consider it to be Bull Schultz.
You ready?
Yep.
Statement 1. Oh, looks like my document didn't save. I had it. Oh, autosave off. I thought I had it on autosave. So when I sent it from my work laptop, I had it all completed, and now it's blank. I'm trying to remember. What did I have? Bite or Bull Bleep.
Do you want me to give you one, Derek?
Oh, the first one was the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl outright. They're a 3.5-point dog. Bite or Bull Bleep.
Buy it. That's going to move up, too. It's going to be like 6 by the time the game starts, but I buy it. I think the Bengals right
You think
now,
so?
man, they don't know what they don't know. They're off. I mean, they got some big-time weapons, and they wreak some havoc on that defensive line. I realize that the front line for the Rams is going to give Joe Burrow some fits. But nonetheless, I buy it.
I'm not certain that the line's going to move up like that from 3.5 to 6. I think it'll hover around where it is. But I just think as great of a story as the Bengals have been, and you're right, like it just feels like this is like Team of Destiny level stuff. Rams are just not a great matchup for them. So I'm going to say Bull Bleep. I do think the Rams win.
As much as Tennessee was able to harass Joe Burrow, you would imagine that the Rams are going to have similar
The
success.
half point gives me pause. We've seen so many close playoff games, and I could totally see the Rams
Wouldn't it
not
be
covering
something-
and winning by a
Wouldn't
field
it be
goal.
something if they win by half point?
It would be amazing, yeah. Be unprecedented, I would believe. I have no idea what statement 2 and 3 were. I really don't know. Buy it or Bull Bleep. Indiana's pants are red. I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know how to. I'm usually prepared. I have a prep
How about
sheet.
this? Buy it or bull, Schultz.
'Kay.
Between now and when Indiana and Purdue rematch on March 5th, neither of them will lose 2 games.
Let me look at the schedules before I can answer that question. I got to look.
I
can't
right here,
just-
off the top of my head, and then Derek's going,
Purdue basketball. Well, of course, you just asked a way too complicated question where I need all of the information
Okay.
that I can access. All right, let's look at Purdue's schedule. Purdue's schedule. Ooh, well, they're at the Barn, which I always hate going to the Barn, even though Minnesota's not.
Okay, how about
necessarily
this? You want me to redo it instead of that one?
Oh, Purdue's got to go at Michigan State. They got to go at Wisconsin. They get the return game against Illinois. That's going to be. I mean, we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They'd have to go 7-2, and Indiana would have to go 7-2.
How about this one? Buy it or
That'd be
bull,
tough.
Schultz. Buy it or bull, Schultz. The Big Ten team that advances the furthest in this year's NCAA tournament will not be from the state of Indiana or Michigan.
I'm gonna say Bull Bleep because I am not a huge believer in either Wisconsin or Illinois.
Okay.
And so you're basically asking me Michigan,
Right.
Michigan State. Well, Michigan's still got to make the tournament. Michigan State, IU, or Purdue, or the field for the team. And I think Purdue, with where we sit today, Michigan State and Purdue are probably the odds-on favorites to make the
Right.
deepest runs.
Or Wisconsin.
I don't
Wisconsin's
know, though. Yeah,
unique,
like
though, Derek, because Wisconsin just plays a style that teams outside the Big Ten get thrown off by.
Yeah, but that wasn't until those Kaminsky-Decker teams. They were a March flop a lot because of that. Like, their style worked in the Big Ten. It did not work in a single elimination
How
tournament.
about this one? Buy it or bull, Schultz. Carson Wentz will throw a touchdown pass to Mo Alley Cox next season.
No, Bull Schultz. I think they're going to move on from him. I do.
Okay.
And I don't. At this point, I used to think that they wanted to upgrade, and at this point, I'm not sure that it matters. I just think they're gonna move on for the sake of moving on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just gut feeling, and inside sources.
Buy it or bull, Schultz. Chris Ballard was wrong when he decided Carson Wentz was a better option than Matthew Stafford.
Well, I mean, it's Bull Schultz. The question is,
No, buy it. That's correct. He was wrong.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Clearly, Stafford is a better player than Wentz. I think the question is, would Stafford have gone to the title game out of the AFC
Good question.
with this Colts
Good question.
team? Because I'm not convinced of that.
question.
I'm convinced the Colts would have been in the playoffs.
Would have been a much more difficult
Yeah,
road.
I am not convinced that they would have won 3 games.
Buy it or
and
bull,
gotten
Schultz.
to the
Aaron
title
Rodgers is the Packers quarterback next year.
game. Buy it.
Buy it. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Even though I don't think
People
that's a
act
slam
like
dunk.
but people act like he's a free agent. Well, Aaron Rodgers is
Yeah,
going to go to Tampa now.
I don't
it
think
takes
that's
2
a
to
slam
tango.
dunk because it sounded like they were mending fences in the later portion of the year. Obviously, it did not end well for them. But I don't think it's a slam dunk that he's definitely back, but I do think I lead towards him being back.
By the way, kudos to the Ball State Chirp Chirp men's volleyball team.
I saw this. Beat number 1, right?
Beat number 1 Hawaii. Over the
Hawaii,
weekend.
yeah.
Swept them.
Good job.
Yep.
Yeah.
15th ranked. Sure to move
That's
up.
pretty strong.
Yeah.
Muncie is a great volleyball
It
town.
is.
And it's a great sport to watch live, volleyball. One of my favorite sports.
Put
to
on my
watch.
sunglasses and get ready to hit the road.
Thanks to all of our sponsors.
3 feet of snow on Wednesday, Derek.
Chateau Kitchens, Bailey and Wood Financial Group, WGU Indiana, Love Heating and Cooling. And thankfully, Jake, you'll like this. Today's the last day of January. So when we get back and do the show, it will no longer be January anymore. Thanks to Jordan Shue and Greg Rakestraw as well. For Jake Query, I'm Derek Schultz. You look ridiculous with sunglasses on. Thanks for
Corey
watching.
Hart.
We will see you next time. Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
Hey, I'm Jeff Saturday, and my favorite thing when I was a professional football player was Indiana. The Hoosier State always made me feel like family. That's why I trust Indiana's hometown mortgage lender, Bailey & Wood. This family-owned company not only gives back to the communities they serve, but also with their 5-star customer service, they can close on your dream home in days, not weeks. So remember, Indiana, you can always get your mortgages at a snap with Bailey & Wood.
Hey, Jeff, how does this look? Yay!
Not bad, bud, but let's stick to mortgages.
Your life is on the go. Now your viewing habits can be on the go. With the ISC Sports Network app, your team is at your fingertips. You can download years' worth of content from the ISC Sports Network library. High school, college, special events, weekly and monthly shows, wherever you find your favorite app. And you can always find out more information at iscsportsnetwork.com.